Welcome back to the Unfortunate Diehards podcast. Hashtag number 81,
Leafs legend.
Golden Knights legend, Phil
God.
Kessel.
I forgot he played there.
Shout out to Phil the Thrill.
Thank you everyone for tuning into the podcast. My name is Evan and I am an Ottawa Senators fan.
I'm Omar and I'm the Leafs fan.
Did you forget your name? Sophia, I'm a Caps fan.
Forgot to order.
And what do we have on the menu today?
We've got some fun stuff to talk about because the league is very exciting right now.
Yeah, a lot happened in the time that we were off, but we'll start with the standings. So starting with the Western Conference in the Central Division, Winnipeg is first, and they're 8 points ahead of the Stars, who have 69 points. The Wild have 66, and they're third. In the Pacific, Edmonton is tied with Vegas with a game in hand at 68 points, and then far behind them is the Kings in third place with 60. The first wild card is Colorado with 64 points, and Calgary is the second with 59 points. And then onwards, it's Vancouver, St. Louis, Utah, Anaheim, Seattle, Nashville, Blackhawks, and San Jose. In the Eastern Conference, we have Florida leading the Atlantic with 67 points, 3 points behind them, Toronto, and 2 points behind them, Ottawa. In the Metro, Washington leads with 75 points. 7 points behind them is Carolina, and 4 points behind them are the Devils. The two wild cards are Detroit and Columbus, both at 59 points and 53 games played. Tampa is just outside the playoffs along with Boston, and then from then onwards, it's the Islanders, Rangers, Habs, Pens, Flyers, and the Sabres. So,
Spicy
a couple
standings.
of interesting races there, but we'll get to that. But I want to start with the big newses that happened. Firstly, we're going to start with the big trade that happened last week. It was, I will load it up. Probably should have had that first, but it is what it is. Mikko Rantanen was traded to the Carolina Hurricanes in a 3-team deal, which sent Jack Drury, Martin Necas, and a first-round pick in 2025 and a fourth-round pick in 2026 from Carolina. And the third team involved was Chicago, and they got a prospect, and Nils Juntorp, never heard of him in my life. And in return, Taylor Hall was sent to Carolina in that trade as well. So some pretty big implications there. Rantanen is a free agent, an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. Paul Bissonnette does not think he's going to sign in Carolina, but that's a topic for later. The Blackhawks retained 50% of Rantanen's salary. The entirety of Hall's salary goes to Carolina. So I think that Carolina added about $2 million cap space, but it's better than adding 9.25. The big storyline behind this was that Rantanen wanted what he says is market value, but there's a lot of discrepancy in terms of what the reports are. Colorado saying he wants too much. Rantanen said he would have taken a team-friendly deal. No one knows what that is, but I'm guessing he still wanted between 12.5 to 14. I don't know how cap-strapped Colorado is, but it was an interesting choice. They did get a good player in return, though. So, what are your guys' thoughts?
I love the trade for Carolina. I mean, I think you go for it. I know he doesn't have term. I know there's a chance he just walks after the season ends, unless they can somehow find a sign and trade thing with him, or trade and sign with him or whatever. But I mean, I think the thing with Carolina now is that you got to go for it because your roster is good to make a deep run until the third round, and then you guys haven't gone in further. And this is a statement, and I like it. I think Carolina gets a great player, someone who's gone all the way in the playoffs. I think they get an upgrade over Necas. I think they get, like a star, honestly. And I like that. I think it's going to help them in the playoffs. So I like this deal, despite the cons that it comes with, which is mainly the term and the fact that they might not have him this year, the year after. But I do it still.
I like this trade actually for Colorado in the sense of there's a lot of teams that, and yes, they could have gone the route of let's keep him and hope for the best and hope we win, and it seems like he still might have walked. So you're trading someone instead of losing them for nothing, and you did get a really good player. Like, yes, a lot of his points were early in the season, but Martin Necas is, can be a star, hopefully, in this league. And Mikko Rantanen, yes, is the best player in the deal, but if he leaves Carolina and they don't win a cup, then Colorado really won this trade hands down.
Yeah. I agree with both of you, essentially. I think both sides kind of had to do something. Carolina, I don't think was going to go any further than they already have with the team that they already had before this trade. So they're kind of pushing all their chips in. The con, obviously, is that if Rantanen and Watson, you're kind of stuck with nothing in the end, and you lose your draft picks that you traded as well. The thing is, the same can happen with Colorado if Necas doesn't re-sign there. So this could also just be a completely null trade in a couple of years. But Colorado doesn't get that much worse. They get worse. They don't get that much worse. They still have a pretty good chance to make a run themselves, especially if they do make another trade, because now they do have some cap flexibility. Carolina, if they want to make another move, they can, but this seems like the team they're gonna kind of go with. So, yeah, the next trade we'll talk about is the JT Miller trade. JT Miller was traded to New York after this trade almost happened 2 weeks ago, and then it actually happened for Philip Hedl, Victor Mancini, a prospect, not very well known, and for good reason, and then a first-round pick in 2025. The first-round pick is top 13 protected and will transfer to 2026 if it falls to the top 13, which is actually currently possible. New York also received Eric Brandstrom and Jackson Dorrington. No idea who that is either. I'll start this off by saying this was kind of inevitable at some point. Thing is, it doesn't really change the fact that Pettersson still might get traded, which is always interesting. There's a lot of rumors with like the middling teams, middling in terms of like their, typically don't draw massive free agents, i.e. Ottawa, Columbus, etc. Because they have the cap room plus a player that they can trade with cap going back. But yeah, Miller going to New York, I think it's a good fit for New York. I think it's also way less than Vancouver would have got if this was, not a forced trade. But it's just something that had to happen. And the thing is, like, you could even see JT Miller, when he was talking in interviews, there was less anger towards Pettersson. It was more towards management, where he was asked a question about, like, what are your thoughts about the trade rumors going on and, like, your management, how they're handling it? Because Jim Rutherford made some comments saying that they should, like, this problem's gone too big and we have to trade one of them now, before the trade even happened. And Miller was basically just like, no comment. And then it also shows that Miller was pretty well liked by his teammates, because after it went down, Friedman was talking about how the Vancouver players are pretty unhappy with him getting dealt. So I don't know. This was.
Does that mean they would have rather had Pettersson get dealt, or?
I think they would have rather no one got traded.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, Miller, and like the thing is, New York did well in this because they kind of jumped off the opportunity. I think Carolina was also involved before the Rantanen trade, so they made it work. Philip Hedl is probably going to fit in pretty well in Vancouver in their top 6 now, because there's a lot of space there for him. So, yeah, and the first round pick being protected is also just kind of funny.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That one's
but this draft also kind of isn't great. So like, if it falls to the top 13, like, and New York gets that pick, and then Vancouver gets the 2026 pick, it actually works in Vancouver's favor, because the 2026 draft is way more stacked than 25 draft right now. So, yeah. What are your guys' thoughts?
I mean, yeah, it's tough to say because obviously they didn't get the return they were going to get based on the situation they traded Miller in. So sure, um, I do like it for the Rangers. I also felt like they needed to do something
Mhm.
right now to kind of shake things up. So and JT Miller has, I think, what they've played a couple of games and he's scored in both. So good for him.
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
uh, he's settling in nicely. Yeah, no, I like it for the Rangers. I think it's a good move for them too.
I like the Miller trade for New York. For Vancouver, it sucks because yeah, it's a very valuable player that you're trading for. It's like a rebuilding trade. You're getting a prospect, a player who's all right now, and a pick. Like it's not something that makes them better right now. But
It's not even a good prospect. That like,
yeah. So
the
it's
guy's like
kind of
22 or 23.
yeah. So kind of difficult to say like it's good for Vancouver, other than maybe for like locker room chem. So I don't know. Just kind of sucks, and like I feel like if they trade Pedersen, like they have to get a lot back, or else they're not going to be very competitive, in my opinion. If you lose your two best forwards for what? So yes, they have Quinn Hughes and others, but it'll be kind of interesting to see where this goes from here. But obviously, New York won this trade, but kind of like a forced trade, and he could kind of choose where he wanted to go. So.
And the thing is, Quinn Hughes said while all this was happening that he doesn't want to be on a rebuilding team, and that kind of fired up more speculation at that point. Because if Vancouver falls out of playoff spot, they have some expiring deals. So like guys like not expiring, or at least like expiring this year and year after. So guys like Besser, Garland, etc. are pretty likely to be moved as well, and Tyler Myers. But you know, it's Tyler Myers. And then there was a couple of smaller trades in comparison, but pretty big for the teams. I don't really have the trade details because I don't really care that much. But Mikael Granlund, Mikael Granlund went from San Jose to Dallas. There was a first round pick involved.
And a Cody Ceci.
He was there as well.
That was a stupid deal for Dallas.
I wouldn't call it stupid. I think that, they already have like a top 9 that's kind of insane. Even after losing Pavelski last year. So they're kind of just, firing in more talent in their top 9, where I do think that their defense could use some work, but they did add Cody Ceci, known very good top pairing defender. And so I don't know. I don't think Dallas is done,
They
but
had options elsewhere that could have got them someone who's not named Cody Ceci.
sure. But my thing is, I don't think Cody Ceci is that much. Like, I don't really care about Cody Ceci in this deal that much. Although it does strap them a bit more for cap because there wasn't any salary retained, I don't think. And they did use their first round pick, which is probably their biggest asset right now because they don't really want to trade any of their top prospects. So it does handcuff them a little bit, which is interesting. I don't know if you guys have anything you want to add to that, but
No,
Duchesne related. Duchesne? Why did I say Duchesne? Granlund. And then the other one, I didn't really care about it, but it was kind of funny. Marcus Pettersson went to the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah, there's 3 Pedersens on the team now.
But let's keep
There's
Elias
3
back.
Petterssons.
And 2 of them are named Elias.
Yeah, it was just funny. I mean, he's probably a top 4 guy. He's gonna be an okay player there. It is a bit of a hefty contract, so that was interesting. But hey, well. Before we get to the Eastern Wildcards race, I do want to talk about Ryan Hartman.
Boy.
You see, that's probably like a 5 to 7 game suspension, but he's been suspended like a million times in the last year. So the fact he got 10 was actually probably...
It's the longest since Tom Wilson's 20-game suspension, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And his multiplier is getting pretty high. Because that's like 4 straight suspensions in a row that had actual games tagged to them. So like the fact he got 10 for that is actually a little alarming because I thought it would be more. But
I mean, I think a 10-game at a minimum is, it makes sense. I mean, why was he doing that?
that's what I'm saying. Like I think that if that was a first time offender, you're looking at probably 5-6, like first time, like not even a fine or anything like that.
Yeah.
But he was suspended 4 times in his career total, and then like it was 3 in the past year before this.
Yeah, I think a first-time offender gets a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, especially in the context of intent.
Yeah.
Whereas someone like him won't get that benefit of the doubt. So I think what plays an impact in his 10 game is that his intent to injure.
Yeah.
'Cause
Were you
that-
watching that game, Evan?
There's no need.
I was. And
Sens
the Sens almost scored as many games as he's been suspended. So
Scored as many games as he's been suspended.
It was like 50 shots, and then did Minnesota even have one scoring chance?
I don't know. But no, like with that major, like there was intent to injure. That's like
Yeah.
I'm totally fine with that suspension.
What are you
Luckily
talking about? He
Stoops
was just
okay.
going for the puck. Did
Luckily
you hear his
Stoops was
explanation,
okay.
bro?
No.
He was like, I was using Stutzel to break my fall because I didn't want to hurt myself or something like that. And I was like, I mean, that doesn't sound any better.
I think you could argue for that loss being like the biggest domination of this season so far. Like I don't know, like the way Sens dominated them. I don't know if there's been a worse lopsided win. I know Habs lost like 9-2 or 3 or something earlier this year.
Yeah.
I don't know if that they played as bad as Minnesota did in this one though.
No, there's been some like domination games where they didn't get as many goals. So I think this one it had both, where the team dominated. Plus that, I think that there's like a Florida Chicago game or something recently, where Florida had like 19 shots in the first period, but they were down 2-1. So it's pretty. Yeah. Anyways, we can go back to the standings here. The Eastern wildcard race / Atlantic right now. Toronto at 64 points and Tampa at 58 points. And Tampa's outside of the playoffs, where Ottawa is right behind them. Detroit is 3 points behind Ottawa. Columbus is tied with Detroit. Boston is just out of the playoffs. So really this is coming down between like Boston, Tampa, Detroit, Ottawa, Toronto in the Atlantic, and then Columbus is just hanging around the wild card spot as well. The other Metro teams like the Islanders, Rangers, Pens, Flyers haven't really done much to inspire me right now. So, but the Miller trade could change that for the Rangers. Islanders, everyone's hurt and they already sucked anyway. So,
Wouldn't it be funny if the Leafs were the one that didn't make the playoffs? Like everyone's like, oh, they're in, and then somehow they miss.
that would be a fumble of epic proportions.
Yes, 18-wheeler going off a cliff, in the words of Brian Burke.
Yes. Right. I could see the Leafs, going into a wild card spot potentially. But I mean, like, I could see the same for Ottawa because they're all right next to each other. So, like, I think anything can happen. I think that the deadline's very important for a lot of these teams.
For me, I think the Rangers are making it. I don't think they're going to miss. And I've said that before, and I know you guys don't necessarily agree, but I think they're going to make it. So I think one spot goes to them. But apart from that, yes, I don't. I maybe like 2 weeks ago I was still like, nah, Boston's making it. I'm less confident of that now because they don't have the games in hand advantage. I think they've played 2 or 3 more games than anyone they're in the race with, and they're like at 54 points or something right now. So
Who are we talking about?
Boston.
Oh, Boston. They're at 54 games, 58 points, and they're 1 point out.
54 games. Yeah, so the games in that they have, I think they have 2 or 3 more games played than pretty much anyone else, right? In the race.
It's 1-2.
1-2. Sorry. Okay.
The only one that's far behind in games is Tampa because of the whole hurricane situation.
True. Okay, that's okay. So Tampa has like 3 games that's played or something. Okay.
For me, I'd say Toronto, Ottawa are pretty safe. Not safe, but like I think that they're going to make it. I think the last wild card is going to be Tampa and between Columbus and Detroit because those teams are very similar to me. But I don't see the Rangers making it.
I think Rangers come in. I still think I mean, I can still see Ottawa missing it, to be honest. But
Of course you can.
yeah,
I think the way the Sens are playing right now, I don't think that they're going to fall out, especially considering Allmark was out for majority of this time that they got hot. So
yeah, they're on a heater right now. But I mean,
this is the right time to get hot, bro.
yeah, But even just if they screw up just even this week, they're back in the wild card. And again,
Because even the game where JT Miller scored 2 goals, the Rangers lost like 5-2 or something like that.
Yeah.
So
I remember that.
I don't know how much that's helping their.
What was that against again? It wasn't even
I
against
can't even
anyone
remember.
great, was it? I can't remember. Anyway,
Who knows?
yeah.
Yeah. Boston, I don't think they're going to make it.
Yeah, I'm less confident that I don't know. I don't see it happening anymore. I just don't think they're consistent enough. I think if Suns keep up this consistency anyway, they'll make it. I think the Four Nations break is going to be a big factor in all of this as well. To be honest.
Yeah. A lot of the older teams are going to get some rest, which is probably going to help them. But
So I think we're going to see some shifts happening after teams are off for like a week and a half or however long it is. And like, yeah, I think we've seen some dramatic shifts in the past when it comes to like what was it, 2014 Sochi Olympics as well, when we had the January or February break, whenever it was. I think there were some shifts after that as well. So let's see what happens after this.
Yeah. I mean, quickly, Western Conference, the only real races are Pacific first place, where Vegas is kind of dwindling right now. They're 2-5-3 in the last 10, and Edmonton's hot. But again, that's probably going to continue till the end of the season. And then last spot in the Pacific, the last wild card are between the Kings, Flames, and Vancouver. And I kind of see that going to the Kings and the Flames, because I think Vancouver's going to throw in the towel pretty soon. So,
Yeah.
and then everyone else after that's pretty far away. All right, let's. I won't talk about Alex Pietrangelo, but you suck.
Go Vegas.
So let's move on to the standouts. 1 player per each division. We can start with the Central Division. And we'll start with Hummer. We're talking about the month of January, ideally, but yeah.
Okay, Central for January. I'm gonna go Philip Forsberg. I think he's been playing really well. 20 points in the month. He's been on the score sheet a lot, obviously. Yeah, I'll go with him. I think he's picked up a little bit of slack for Nashville, I guess.
Yeah. Evan?
I chose Jason Robertson. He, I feel like often has a bit of a slow start and then really, really picks it up in the second half, and he's doing exactly that.
Yeah, he's been very hot in the new year, actually. Both of them are. I think Robertson has 10 goals, 21 points in 15 games in January, and then Forsberg had 19 and 10. I will go with Wyatt Johnston. 18 points in 15 games. He, again, had a pretty slow start. But he scored a big goal for Dallas pretty recently, so he stuck him ahead a bit. And, yeah, happy to see him get going. Omer, Pacific Division.
Pacific, I'm going from Sufi's favorite team, Thomas Hurdle.
Kill yourself.
He's been really good though, man. Like, I don't know, it's
16 points in 15 games, average.
Come on, I mean, that's pretty good. I don't know who I would put ahead of him.
This is just because he's on your fantasy team.
Well, that too, sure, but 10 goals, 6 assists. Why not? He's been great.
6 goals, 10 assists.
Or whatever, whichever way you do. Yeah. What did I say? Wait.
You said, I was looking at Eichel. Never mind,
10
you're right.
goals, 6 assists,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. I was talking about Eichel.
Yeah.
Whatever. All right. Evan, Pacific.
Same.
Wow.
I hate you guys. Robertson, Hurdle, die. Johnston.
It's not Hurdle's fault, okay?
I actually don't mind Hurdle. But-
Exactly. It's a great team.
You're walking up that ice right now, bro. Hold on. I had my guy here. I'm going with... Wait, is this team in the Pacific? Seattle's in the Pacific.
I believe so.
Yes. Okay. I'm going with Joey Dacor. 11 games played, 2.55 or 2.25 GAA, 925 save percentage, 5.66 goals saved above average. He had a bit of a rocky start, but he's really honed it in.
I'm going to go Jack Hughes. 15 points in 13 games. Not as amazing as some of the other ones, but he's been good.
Evan?
Ilya Sorokin. He has really tried to do his best to make as many saves as possible so that the New York Islanders are somewhat relevant.
This is a tough task. He had a 175 GA, 938 save percentage last month, which is very nice. I will go with this. I don't know how I could pick anyone else. Logan Thompson led the league in goal saves above average for the month. 148 GAA, 947 save percentage. Led goalies pretty much every stat in 9 games. Yeah. ATL
What
division.
GAA?
148.
Lame.
Yeah. Omer, did you change your mind or?
No, there's only one right answer for this, subjectively right answer, and if you say anyone else, it's just wrong, but you can say anyone else, it's pasta.
What? Okay.
That was my pick, it was pasta. It has to be pasta. The guy has like almost 30 points in the month in like 14 games. It's insane. It's pasta.
He had
No,
24 points in 14 games. How's that almost 30?
27 points.
Are we looking at the same thing, bro? Are you including February 1st?
If I am, then maybe that's including February 1st. Sure. Take away a couple goals because of February 1st. But still, he's been insane. It goes to pasta.
All right. Evan.
Moritz Seider. I believe he had something like 10 assists and just hits and blocks, and again, is doing his best to make sure the Detroit Red Wings don't catch the Ottawa Senators, but he's trying to do the opposite of that.
Yeah, trying to reverse jinx or something, I guess. Well, I'm going to go with Kucherov then. He had 21 points in 16 games, 15 assists, and 14 of them were primary assists, which is complete opposite of Jack Hughes, which I like. All right. We're going to go to injury updates, but I'm not going to read the whole damn list because I do not care. So if there's a really big injury, I will tell you about it. Tage Thompson got hit very badly in the head, and no Buffalo Sabre did anything about it, so that was a pretty big story. But he's out for a while. Marchenko, rest in peace, my HT Fantasy League and Evans Dynasty Fantasy League. He's out for 6 to 8 weeks from what I last saw. Kaprizov was put on LTIR, which definitely hurts. Markstrom should be on injured reserve. FU Yahoo. And the New Jersey Devils for not putting him on IR, but he's out 4 to 6 weeks, and he's been out for like 2 weeks. So Matthew Barzal got hurt again, and he's out indefinitely. Josh Norris has a mid-body injury, which I've always found an interesting way of describing that. But he's out for a few weeks. And that is pretty much all I care about. Yeah. So, let's move on to Evan's Funky Stat of the Week.
All right. Could you guys tell me what teams Alexander Ovechkin has had the most hat tricks against?
Hat tricks. Montreal?
I would like a guess from both of you.
I'll say Montreal.
He has probably his most points against Toronto, but maybe he doesn't have as many hat tricks. I don't know. Let's say it's got to be some like random team. I'm gonna say Anaheim.
Anaheim, bro. We barely play Anaheim.
I know. I don't know. Who cares?
I feel like it's Wheelers. Wheelers. I just called Winnipeg the Wheelers. Winnipeg Atlanta franchise, I think, is also up there. I don't know.
So, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it is a tie between the Ottawa Senators
Nice.
and the Montreal Canadiens.
Let's go. 1 point. I win.
Yeah, very random, in my opinion. But here we are.
Montreal, I would have definitely guessed because I feel like I've seen a bunch. Ottawa, probably not.
I can't remember him scoring that much against Ottawa. It's strange to me, but yeah.
No, I know he scored a lot against Ottawa. I just didn't know he had that many hat tricks. He scored a lot against any Canadian team, pretty much. All right, so I have the head-to-head, and this is going to be a pretty interesting one because I'm not doing players, doing coaches. I'm going to put Craig Berube versus Travis Green.
I knew it.
I'll go last because I don't really care. And these are your two coaches. So you actually have opinions on it. But, Omer.
Me first. Okay. I'll go Craig Berube. Okay, I'll go Craig because I can't really use his Toronto year as really a judge of him yet, just because we have to see what they do in the playoffs. Like, I can say that I like the way he's made them play a bit more tight defensive hockey, that kind of thing, sure. But and despite the fact has still kept them, up in the first/second divisional spots in the league, which is despite the the significant drop off in scoring this year. So I appreciate that. I would just say, based on his record, he's a more proven coach. I think Travis Green is having a good year, obviously. I think he's having his first good year, maybe his second. I think he had 1 year where he made the playoffs with Vancouver or something. I don't remember. Or with New Jersey. I know with New Jersey he didn't do anything. I don't remember. So based off history, it has to be Craig Berube, just because he has more success in the league. I think Travis Green can prove something this year. I mean, he's proving something this year, let's say. But yeah, I don't think his record's in his favor.
Okay. Evan?
I also think Craig Berube.
Damn.
It's hard to
He's a Stanley Cup winning coach, so
I'm going to go Travis Green just for the vibes. I think that there's been a lot of coaches that have taken a run at the recent Ottawa Senators, and they haven't done this good of a job. Sounds kind of, hypocritical considering how hard I was on, them picking him in the first place. But
almost like I was right.
Let's be honest.
But,
the way this team's playing is more on Alfie than on Travis.
All right. But I haven't really been impressed with the Leafs this year, and I like what Ottawa looks like right now in terms of how they play, how fast they are. Could have a lot to do with the players, but players have been there for a while and none of this has happened. So finally, they have someone that's kind of putting them in the right direction, the way they kind of should have been playing over the last few years. So I would say that's more impressive than Jordan Binnington carrying Craig Berube to a cup. So
Jordan will be to a cup.
We'll score that 2-1. We'll score that 2-1. Let's move on. No, I would have said Travis Green regardless. You see, I had it written right here. Let's move on to, before Omer gets to a stat game, fantasy player to pick up or trade for right now. I will start this off because I never do. And I will say Joel Farabee of the Calgary Flames. He's playing on the first line and on the second power play. He was in a trade that we didn't talk about at all, by the way, because I completely forgot about it. But Farabee and Frost went to Calgary. Kuzmenko, Pelche, and then a pick or two went to Philadelphia. I like for Calgary. And Farabee on their first line, second power play. I think he could chip in a good amount of points here and there for you if he is still available in your league. And he probably should be because he's 6% rostered. So, Evan?
David Perron, because he'd been injured for most of the year, and the past few games I've been quite impressed with his play. Like, yes, he's a bit older, but he's a bit of sandpaper, and you can tell he's just a smart player, and scored his first goal last night, had, I believe, 2 assists in his past few games as well, gets power play time, and with Norris out and them kind of juggling the lines a little bit, he is playing in the top 6 for the Sens right now. And I think that could be someone who, if they stay healthy, could benefit from playing in a skilled top 6.
I'm sure Nick's going to like that pick.
I'm going to go Morgan Frost. I picked him up probably about, 3-ish weeks ago. He was pretty hot with Philly for a while there, and then he got dealt to Calgary. He scored in his first game with the Flames, actually, as well. So, and he's pretty, I think he might be a bit more rostered now because I think he has put up some points recently, but I think he's like...
Nah, he's still at 6. He's the same as Farabee.
Yeah, so he's if he's available, he's not a bad pickup right now.
Yep. All right. Your stack game, Omer.
Stat game. Okay. Kept it pretty simple. So for this one, you're gonna guess top 5, but we've got a tie for top 3 and a tie for 5th. So I will accept any answers between 1 and 8.
Okay.
So I guess if you give me 5 of 8, you get it. It doesn't matter if you get the top 5, I guess, and then, because they're tied. It is. Let me get the timer ready before I tell you. Timer. Oh, stop calling. Okay. Okay, so your stat is this season, top 5 in power play goals. And time starts now.
Can we have unlimited guesses?
Yeah, it's just 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Draisaitl.
Draisaitl is 5th.
Pasternak.
Yeah.
Pasternak is not on there.
McKinnon.
He's also
Rantanen.
Rantanen is also not on this.
Interesting.
Kachuk.
Which one?
Doesn't matter.
Which
You
one?
say Matthew, I'll say Brady.
Okay, Matthew.
No.
Brady.
Yeah. Well, Brady is 7th, but tied for 5th. So yeah.
Oh,
Cole Caulfield.
No.
Norris.
Patrick Laine.
Patrick Laine is tied for 5th, so that counts.
Yeah, that's crazy. What the fuck?
Norris. Batherson.
Nope and nope.
This is going to be a rogue guess. Tom Wilson.
Nope.
I know he's close. Ish.
Kucherov. Point.
Are you guessing any of those?
Yes.
Both.
Okay.
Bro.
Point is 3rd
Yeah.
/ tied for 1st.
Aho.
Nope.
Natchez.
Nope.
Shifley.
Shifley, nope. He just misses. He's 11th. Well, but tied for what you call it, 6th.
Velarde. Connor.
Yep, Velarde is 4th.
Damn.
So you're just missing 1 and 2 now.
Kyle Connor.
No,
Kaprizov.
no.
What other players are in the
Zach
NHL?
Hyman.
No,
McDavid. May as well say him.
no.
Marner. Tavares. Nylander.
Matthews.
Sorry, was the last one there?
Nylander.
No,
Matthews.
no,
Kempe.
no,
Robertson. Hintz.
no.
Is there any obvious ones we're missing?
Gensel.
Gensel's 1st, so you need number 2.
Oh. Barkov?
I mean, you've already
Barkov?
won because you got in more than 5, but yeah.
Yeah. Barkov?
No.
Crosby,
Hughes? Quinn?
No.
Quinn,
He's in the
Besser?
Atlantic.
Hughes, Jack,
He's in the Atlantic.
Hughes, Luke,
No.
joking.
Atlantic. Suzuki?
DeBrincat, Larkin,
Larkin.
Oh, DeBrincat. Larkin. Interesting.
Just as the timer went off, you got Larkin. Good job. You got all 8 that were you got all 8 that were tied for the top 5. So good job.
Nice. Oh, that was just us saying good players. For 3 minutes. All right, let's go on to our final segment here. One positive, not a player. One negative, not a player. And one standout is a player for our own teams. We'll start with Evan in the dark.
positive, goaltending as a whole. I feel like since December, for the most part, we've had pretty good goaltending. Yes, have we been shut out a lot? But we also shut out other teams a lot. So, just like that was something that we've struggled with for a long time, whether that was the goalie's fault or defense, and maybe it's just because we're playing better defense. But no, we're keeping the puck out of the net, and that's great for me. Negative. Negative, maybe like feel like we don't have a full lineup ever. It's always like Jensen's out, Shabbat missed a game, Zub's out, Sanderson's missing a couple of games, Allmark's hurt, Norris is out. Like, I just want like 10 games where like no one important gets hurt. I mean, right now it's Norris, and he shouldn't be too long, hopefully. And then Allmark backed up the other night, so and Jensen. But who knows? Maybe soon I will get my wish. But so far, that would be nice. And then standout, probably as Sufi said in our group chat, Jake Sanderson's been really good recently. He scored in 3 games in a row, and not even just offensively. Like, offensively, it's great. He had a 4-point game, but he's just playing really smart hockey. He's moving his feet a lot and kind of getting in places to succeed, whether that's complimenting his partner or the center. And just really probably a big reason why the Sens aren't letting in as many goals and are scoring some more goals. So
He's looked a lot different from... I watched a game early in the year to obviously watching the game against the Caps. He looks like a completely different player. But he looks like he could be one of those, Dolly and Heiskanen types. Homer?
Yeah. Positive for me right now. Leafs had a rough month, so what I'm going to say. The positive for me right now is that the Leafs are still mathematically in a better position than Florida for first in the division, with 2 games in hand and 3 points back. So there you go. And their schedule is in their favor leading up to the break, with Calgary, Seattle, and Vancouver. You should be winning all 3, but you should at least go 2-1 if at worst in those 3 games. So I'm going to say schedule leading up to the break for the Leafs right now is the positive. The negative for the Leafs is same thing as Evan. I can't remember the last time that we didn't have a significant injury. I think probably like October. Stolarz has been out for ages. We just got Tavares and Nyes back, and now Marner's out tonight all of a sudden. So it's just not consistent with the players, like big name players this year, just constantly one after the other, whether it's been Matthews, then Tavares, then Nyes for a bit, then we've got Stolarz out, then we've got now Marner's out today. It's just been like injury constantly. So I just want to see like a stretch of games where we also get our full team playing, which would be nice. And then positive player, I'll give it to Joseph Woll. He made an insane save against Edmonton the other day and saved the game with a second left. So that game got scary, but he made like amazing saves in a 40-something shot against game. So I'm going to go Woll.
Fair enough. For me, positive is kind of just getting through the last 6 weeks because we've had a pretty insane schedule. like 2 really long road trips, including a Western road trip, and we kind of kept the pace that we were keeping before all of that. So it was nice to not see us not like fall off a cliff just because our schedule got hard. Power play is our negative for sure. At first it was just bad, and then against Ottawa it went from bad to unwatchable to shorthanded goals against. So, hopefully there can be some change there. And then player wise, everyone kind of contributed pretty evenly. So I'm going to just say the guy that's been kind of consistent throughout this whole season. And if you would have asked me between McMichael and Protas, who I think would end up being a top 6 player, and you asked me that last year, I would have said McMichael, but it's definitely Protas now. He took a huge step forward in terms of like skating and shooting this year. Working on it over the summer. He's got almost the same amount of goals combined this year compared to his first 3 years. And 11 points in 14 games in the month, and he's kind of kept producing at that same level while not being on the power play and being one of our best penalty killers. So I'll give props to the big guy. And his brother is coming up in our prospect system, and he looks also very good. So I'm excited for him.
Well, thank you everyone for listening to episode number 81 of the Unfortunate Diehards podcast. We appreciate you tuning in, and feel free to share it and listen and check us out on the following platforms:
Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music,
Stitcher,
Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, SiriusXM. Watch us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at The Unfortunate Diehards. And we'll see you next time.